A few months ago now, NOMOS released something that not many of us expected. When most of us think about sports watches, we think big rotating bezels, thick durable cases, solid casebacks, and quite a distinctively recognisable look. NOMOS is challenging that traditional look with a new release that honours the distinctive and widely appealing design language of the brand, while also being able to perform just as well as any other sports watch. This is the NOMOS Tangente Sport Neomatik, and today we have some real hands-on time with the watch. Let's see if this will be your next watch. To kick things off, the first notable change is the case, which now comes in at 42mm wide. This case with crown guards has been seen before on the likes of the Ahoy. Although it's a larger size, this now makes it the biggest Tangente available today. The thickness remains suitably NOMOS, at a touch under 11mm. The lug-to-lug distance is right around 52mm. If you're familiar with the Tangente, you'll know the lugs on the piece are incredibly slender and elegant. It is worth noting, however, that the watch doesn't feel delicate or lacking in robustness. Now let's move on to the dial, which is jam-packed full of updates. A thicker, domed sapphire crystal covers the details of this updated dial. The colour scheme now has a refreshed feel thanks to the presence of lume. The hands are flooded with light blue superluminova, and the hour markers have neat rectangular, almost cappuccino coloured plots around the dial. When it goes dark, both hands and plots glow green. Wearing the watch in the day, the addition of lume helps to emphasise the symmetry of the dial. The injection of playfulness and casual charm really comes across when wearing this piece. The crown guards are appropriately proportioned on the size of the case, and most importantly, although the crown is pretty small for the watch, it's still easy to adjust. I personally love how accessible the crown is. I didn't have any issues at all adjusting it on the go. 300 meters, 30 ATM, or 1000 foot, as NOMOS prefer, is a water resistance rating of choice here. Certainly something you don't expect when looking at the watch. This seems like a natural time to flip the watch over and admire the automatic in-house movement from NOMOS. The DUW6101 is the first Neomatic calibre to feature a date. It's not just a date, however, as it's positioned right towards the edge of the dial. This is a hugely beneficial NOMOS trait. It means the watches aren't held back by movement restrictions, and they are very much design-led. There are plenty of little nuances in watch collecting that people go crazy for, and luckily, if this sounds like you, NOMOS has you covered. With a 6101, you can go forward or back with the date change. Like I said, a small feature, but something that makes a difference if you regularly have to change the date on your watches. This new bracelet from NOMOS has links that can be adjusted by unscrewing 2 screws around the back of the strap and sliding them in or out. In traditional NOMOS style, we find quick releases around the lugs and also on the buckle. This really helps to make it so easy to adjust this bracelet on the go. Once on the watch, it really asserts the watch's playful, sporty aesthetic. The appeal of a metal bracelet on a NOMOS is something I very much welcome. So, how do the stats translate to actual on-wrist time with the piece? Well, there's no way we can deny the large size of the watch. It's a big piece at 42mm wide, and the crown guards only add to this perception. Silver dials also have a tendency to enhance a watch's footprint on the wrist, so naturally the Tangente Sport is impacted by this. It's worth adding here, however, that the thickness works very well. Another aspect of the watch is that people notice it, whether that's down to the size, silver dial, all-metal look, or just overall style. The watch gets glances and comments. This acts as a perfect pivot into my next point, legibility. If you watched our NOMOS 731 Club Date review, you'll see how many mentions of legibility it received. This is the same for the Tangente Sport, as all it needs is a quick glance on the wrist and you have all the information you need. The date placement right at the edge of the dial really helps to balance the watch, and the fact that the font and size used here is larger than most others strengthens the Tangente's sense of balance. Not something you'd normally expect from a watch with a date at 3 o'clock. As we always do here at WatchGecko, let's take a look at a few straps to add a different dynamic to the Tangente Sport. Something to note when picking straps for the NOMOS is its lug width. The watch is actually only 20mm at the lugs. This isn't something you see every day on a 42mm wide piece, so straps that have a heavy taper down to the buckle will emphasise the larger size. If you want to change up the look completely of the Tangente Sport, then the Dawlish Italian calf leather is the way to go. This strap may come with a higher price tag than others, but it's genuinely justified, with perfectly neat painted edges, a great balanced amount of padding, accurate neat stitching, with a pop of colour on the underside. This tan option matches the silver dial and bright colours well to create a comfortable, very NOMOS look. The classic mesh in polished is a fantastic option if you want to build on the NOMOS bracelet and just make your Tangente Sport a little different. The Milanese mesh design of this strap will keep it nice and breathable, and with an easy to adjust buckle, you can always have that perfect fit. This is actually a surprisingly favourite combo of mine. The Iridescent linen NATO really embraces the new direction of this NOMOS Tangente Sport. Of course, we've combined the blue hands with the blue on the strap to draw more attention to those loom-filled hands. Now, I'm sure there'll be a few of you watching thinking this watch would technically qualify as a diving watch because of the water resistance rating. Only a select few people who have a passion for watches will actually dive with diving watches, regularly making the most of their capabilities. The watch is capable of going 300 meters deep, but that rating doesn't define what it is. I believe this is much more suitable to what wrists are expecting today when it comes to a watch they can wear during sports, during exercise, and during swimming that effectively tells the time, clearly and stylishly. Realistically, this is marketed as a sports watch rather than a diving watch. The perception of a diving watch is heavily linked to that historical ideology and design of icons in that category. As with most watches, there are always things that can be improved or changed. Let's run through a few aspects of the NOMOS that are worth knowing before you add this watch to your collection. First up, the buckle. If you're a regular metal bracelet wearer, you'll think the bracelet is fitted probably the wrong way, as the buckle deploys away from your body rather than towards, like 90% of other deployment buckles. The watch also doesn't come with a lock safety on the buckle, and having only 3 micro adjustments is a little limiting. It's worth considering that you can of course add more links to the bracelet. These links are smaller than a conventional link, so you may have to play around to get that perfect fit. Next up, the case size. This is a big, if not the biggest, talking point of the watch. Personally, I believe the watch needs to remain in the 40s rather than dropping down to the 30s, for it to strike an appealing balance and also justify its position in the Tangente collection. I believe 40mm would be the golden size here. This would enable the angular lugs to really come into their own and hug the wrist more effectively. This was one of the most memorable watches from Baselworld for me. It was such an interesting direction for NOMOS. The watch adds more diversity to the Tangente range, and fills a gap for people looking for a more robust version of the model. It's worth adding if you prefer the club, then there is also a new Club Sport Neomatik, reference 781, also with a new metal bracelet. Maybe we'll get a detailed look at that piece soon. You'll want to head over to the WatchGecko online magazine, as there we discuss each topic we chatted about here in more detail and share with you more images and on-wrist shots. We'll leave a link in the description below. The NOMOS Tangente Sport Neomatik 42, reference 580, is currently available on the NOMOS website for £3,980. We'd like to take this opportunity to thank NOMOS for sending this watch to us for a review and to be featured in this new series. If you're interested in learning more about the Tangente Sport or any other NOMOS watch, check out their website. We'll leave a link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.